This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we're your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And yay, something fun's happening today, Grace.
What is it?
It's a special occasion. It's our 100th episode, which is super crazy to believe. Like, how
I know.
Are we already at 100? That's crazy. What is it?
I agree.
100 weeks, almost 2 years, just over 2 years.
Damn.
Wow.
Wow. That is wild.
Just like that. Yes. So
very exciting.
For those of you who've been sticking around with us, thank you for however many of those 100 episodes you've watched or listened to. We appreciate you. And
Probably
for those who
all
are
of
maybe
them.
new, yeah, exactly, almost, and like multiple times each time, right? Too.
Yeah.
Like, so technically,
You
for
can't
some
get
of you,
enough.
for some of you, this may be your 300th episode, depending on how hard you rock with us.
On how obsessed you are with us.
Yes, exactly. Which, hey, I'm only mildly scared at that possibility.
But not enough to do anything about it. So keep it up, everyone.
Yeah, so you're good. You're good. There's a fine line, but that's nowhere near crossing it. But yeah, and if you're new to the podcast, we are a cartoon, crime, comedy, mystery sort of podcast where we recap classic animated shows as if they were true crime stories. And we always focus on different cartoons that have to do with crime or adventure or action. And I think that what we have today on schedule is it fits within that mostly, except there's one little caveat. Obviously,
Yes.
We've got to throw actually two little caveats we've got to throw in.
It's fine.
But I think that it brings us back to our roots because we're going to do something special. You know, we've been covering Jabberjaw for the past few weeks, but we're pausing today to celebrate episode 100 with something very, very special. So I don't know. Great. Do you want me to go ahead and give away what we're talking about, or would you like to lay the foundation?
Go ahead and give it away so that you can give the caveats right away.
Okay, good.
As to why this still counts for us and also doesn't count for us, but it does.
Excellent. But it does because it's our 100th episode and we can do whatever the fuck we want.
There's no rules, and that's not changing after 100 episodes.
Exactly. If anything, it's only going to get less rulier around here.
Yes.
We make them, we break them. There are none. That's the only rule. That is the only rule. So yes, what are we doing today? We are going to be recapping and reliving and laughing through our retelling of one of the greatest movies ever made in American history.
If not world history.
If not world. In cinematic history, quite frankly.
Yes.
The epic. The classic. The first of its kind live action Scooby-Doo movie.
Hell yes, baby.
And boy, oh boy, are we excited. So what are the two caveats that we can go in here for how this really isn't something we should be covering on this podcast? Well, one, it's not a show. It's not a TV show.
Yep.
Fair. It is a single movie.
But we've done movies before.
We have done
Pocahontas.
Movies. We've done that is true. We did Pocahontas. We did made for TV movies. Exactly. This one was not made for TV, but it's okay because it's Scooby-Doo. So, why not? But what is the other slight caveat that we've got going on here? It is not animated.
Not fully animated.
True, not fully animated. There is a lot of CGI in it. We've got Scooby-Doo, of course, and the monsters, yes, which we'll talk about later. So there is animation. This is very true. I guess I did also just think of another caveat, like in addition to it not being a show, it also wasn't like a morning thing or anything like that. So
you know what?
So we've got the mysteries part down, and that's it.
I'm going to say it's still animated because Scooby-Doo is in most scenes, and he is early CGI'd in. And you know what? It couldn't be a made-for-TV film because the pure gravitas of this film could not fit on a made-for-TV. It needed, demanded the big screen.
Indeed.
And that is what it got.
Yes.
So
I'm debating if I should save this joke for later when it comes up in the story or say it now.
no,
I'm going to
save it
say
for
it
when it
later.
comes up.
Okay,
I'll
good.
be surprised and ready.
Good. So go ahead. Take us
So
away then. Would you
yes.
like to tell us a bit about the background of this movie?
Yes, we will do a very, very brief intro because again, we are doing a whole ass movie for our very special 100th episode. And yes, so this movie, Scooby-Doo is all it's called, just Scooby-Doo movie. It
Mm-hmm.
came out in 2002. So when Bird, Alexis, and I were about 10 years
Mm-hmm.
old, between the ages, probably like 10 or
9.
11-ish,
Mm-hmm.
which was, very pivotal for us at that age and already obsessed with Scooby-Doo to see this come out. Um, the cast is an all-star cast of the 2002 era, the early aughts, if you will. We have Freddie Prince Jr. as Fred, Sarah Michelle Gellar as Daphne, which I only put them in that order because IRL, they are married, which was very also important to us in 2002, learning that piece of information because it's Fred and Daphne.
Yes.
They had already been in I Know What You Did Last Summer. They had already met. They're already at least in love and dating by the time this movie comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Velma, Linda Cardellini, an
Mm-hmm.
icon, a
Legend.
heartthrob. Oh, yes, still to this day, a legend.
Mm-hmm.
And the perfect Shaggy, Matthew Lillard,
Yes.
an icon on his own, including a
Also
horror
an
movie
icon.
icon.
Mm-hmm.
But we were 10. This was the first thing I ever saw him in. I didn't
Really?
know what horror
Okay.
movies were at that point.
Yeah. Yikes. My I depicted Matthew Lillard very differently.
Yeah, I was
In
gonna
my
say,
mind, yeah.
had you already seen, especially with having older brothers with the age difference between you guys, who definitely were showing you 13 Ghosts and that
Absolutely.
kind of shit at that
13
age?
Ghosts and Scream, yes.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
was
And
like,
speaking
whoa, Matthew.
of
Yeah, go ahead,
13
sorry.
Ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
another
Mm-hmm.
connection between 13 Ghosts and this film, not
Mm-hmm.
just Matthew Lillard, but indeed the writer of both 13 Ghosts and this film, and a writer of such hits as Guardians of the Galaxy. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We have James Gunn
The
as one of the
legend.
writers of this film.
Yeah. Low key, one of my faves. He's written
Mm-hmm.
some of my favorite movies. And yeah, big fan
And
of James Gunn. So another reason this, I guess I loved him ever since 2002 and didn't even realize it until later
there
on.
you
I was like,
go.
holy shit, he wrote all that stuff. I love him even more now. He's
Yeah,
great.
I will say I didn't know that he wrote this until we decided to do this. And obviously I went into the IMDb to be like, whomst was behind this?
Yes.
Um, and yes, he indeed wrote it.
It must be some sort
Incredible.
of genius, a god amongst humans.
A
Who?
voice of our century, of our
Yes.
generation. James
James
Gunn.
Gunn, of
Um,
course.
yes, there is so much to say, I will say, about this film, our possible feelings about it, about the reception of it, where it stands in Scooby-Doo lore and pop culture, et cetera, et cetera. But we have a whole movie to get through. So if we have time at the end, we can go through it. But,
Yeah.
make your own
Or we'll
decisions for
sprinkle it in here
yourself.
and there. Yeah.
Exactly. And so with that, we are going to jump right into it.
Mhm.
And also, I guess it's worth saying, we're doing a different format for this today, where
Yes.
both Alexis and I will be telling you this. We haven't done something like this before. We have a loose bullet pointed list of what the fuck has happened in this
We didn't
wild and
do any
crazy film.
run throughs,
Yeah, we're winging it
loose
here.
cannons here. It's
You
our
know what?
100th episode and we're just fucking going. We're doing it live. Fuck it.
Fuck it, we're doing it live, which is probably
Yeah.
also how they wrote and did this whole film. So it
I would
feels
like to think
fitting.
so.
So
Yes.
with that, bear with us. It might be chaotic. Will this turn into 2 episodes because we can't stop making it super long? We don't know. I guess you'll know by the end of this, and so will we.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that, pass it to Alexis to kick us off.
All right. In what is possibly part one of a two-part episode and or just the beginning of a long journey. Mystery Inc. They start this movie doing what they do best. They are solving a mystery, attempting to capture a ghost at a toy factory. And I want to say, when we go into this toy factory, this ghost It is actually pretty terrifying. It
Yeah.
low-key looks like the combination of Pennywise from It and the Pillsbury Doughboy. So a threateningly sweet combo, if you
Uh-huh.
will. And this ghost has already captured Daphne in whatever antics it's in, flying around this toy factory. So meanwhile, as Daphne's being carried around or flown around the factory, we see Vilma and Fred kind of up in the not the rafters, but like the catwalk and around the
Yeah.
factory over walkie-talkie, communicating with each other about how to execute the plan to capture this ghost. And we get a good look at like how these characters are written for this movie in this one scene. This is a very
Yep.
good intro to them. Daphne, of course, danger prone, as we're all familiar with her being. She's already kidnapped. Vilma, she's trying to be nerdy about getting the plan right and is trying to get Fred's attention. And Fred, meanwhile, is just like looking at himself in a mirror, acting like he's all good at fighting, swinging a hose everywhere. While Shaggy and Scooby are sneaking around, trying to hide from the ghost, even though they're supposed to be drawing it out. So from the jump, we've got great character writing, great character
Yeah.
execution. But as
Also,
always, go ahead. Yeah.
real quick, we're gonna be interrupting each other this whole time. I
Yes, of
deeply
course we
read
are.
the fun facts on IMDb, and I guess the original promotion for this film really hit home the picture of this terrifying ghost because it
Yeah,
is fucking scary, and it's
it
in the
is
movie
scary.
for 4 minutes, and
Yes,
like
only this beginning scene.
everyone
This
was
is
like,
not the
"What the
main
fuck?"
villain. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like on all the posters was this terrifying villain, and then it was a very Scream move with Drew
yes,
Barrymore
very true.
on all the
Exactly.
promotion,
It's a
and
good
then
way to
not in
draw
it.
them in.
Yep.
Exactly. And then not
Anyways,
to
go
be in
on.
it. And I argue that it's scarier than, in some ways, than the
Mm,
other monsters and baddies we'll be talking about later. But maybe it's because it's not CGI. So
yeah,
it like
true.
looks real. Anyway, so as Mystery Inc. usually does, amidst a whole bunch of chaos of them, Daphne getting kidnapped and Shaggy and Scooby messing something in the plan up and getting caught by the ghost, somehow they do manage to save the day. They do manage to capture the ghost after drawing it out and going through this long, violent chase. But I will say, just after they solve or after they catch the ghost and like trap him under a pile of some toys or something that fell off the wall, we then see the mystery machine burst through the fucking door or like the warehouse
Mhm.
door or a wall of this factory. And in my mind, I'm like, who the hell is driving this? Because I will also say I haven't watched this movie in a pretty long time. So it was almost like watching it with
I
fresh
was
eyes for
shocked
me.
by this
So
too.
it's like, who is driving this thing? And out walks none other than 90s supermodel, super babe, superstar Pamela Anderson
Playing herself.
playing playing herself, but also she is like the owner of this toy factory, I think.
Yeah, she
So
is.
yes, it's so random and not what you would expect to see in a children's movie. Like she's
No.
dressed generally appropriately, but like it's Pamela Anderson. Like what the hell is happening?
Right, like we
Um,
barely knew who that was. We were 10. Our parents were
yeah,
probably like, cover your eyes.
cover your eyes, don't look. You shouldn't know what she's famous for. Um, but she also like knows Fred. Like she goes up and hugs Fred and like thanks him personally and Mystery Inc. for saving this toy factory and solving the mystery. And of course, all of these other fans rush into the factory in this gaping hole that Pamela Anderson has just created in the
In her own
wall
factory.
in her own factory. So yeah, hey, yeah, she's fine with it. That's all her choice. And the press runs in too, because it turns out Mystery Inc., they're pretty freaking famous at this point already in their crime solving careers. And so all of these fans are trying to get their autographs and talk to them. Well, I shouldn't say their autographs. They're trying to get Fred's autograph
Mhm.
mostly, to the point where some people are even dressed as Fred, like in
Yeah.
cosplay, loving him. And of course, when the journalists and the reporters all swoop in to ask questions about how they solved the mystery, Fred, he just takes the lead without even asking or, consulting with the rest of Mystery Inc., saying it was his plan and that, he did all the work, or that the key is that he is a team player, et cetera, which disappoints Velma, who, as I said before, was the one who really was trying to coordinate the plan. So after things calm down a bit and the reporters start leaving, the fans, enough of them have gotten their signatures from Fred, I guess, so they start to leave. We then see Mystery Inc. walking outside of the factory, getting ready to leave. And they begin to fight over who in particular kind of is like in charge, who had the idea to capture this ghost from the toy factory, why Daphne is always getting captured, and like who is the most and least valuable in the team.
Mm,
And the argument's so bad that to the point of, one by one, Velma, then Daphne, then Fred, they all quit. And Shaggy and
mm.
Scooby try to stop them, but it's too late. They've moved on and they are left with nothing but the mystery machine and heartbreak.
Oh,
It's
it's
sad.
very sad.
It
It's
is. What a
also
way to
worth saying
start.
that they're probably like in their 20s at this point. They're no longer
Yeah.
teenagers. Um,
Yeah, that's
so that's
fair.
they've
At
been
least
doing this for a
18,
while.
but definitely, yeah, they're
Yeah.
famous. Fred, I think, like already has a book, maybe
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
They at
Yeah.
least like with the casting, they did not do that much work to make them look even 18. I would say they're like
Yeah.
24-ish
Yeah,
in
easily. They're
this
like, look,
film.
we're gonna put a long blonde wig on Fred and hope
Fred
that it makes him look hopes that it makes
Young
him
question
shaves
mark.
a couple years off of him. Yeah.
Yeah,
That wig is
exactly.
rough. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it does change immediately in the next scene,
It
but
does.
still,
And I will say real quick too, before I pass it back over to you, when I rewatched this film, I forgot that they did only use the wig in like the past scenes when they were younger. So I was
uh,
like, oh gosh, this is not a good looking Fred. Like this depiction is not great. What happened with this wig? And then I continued watching. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Good.
yeah,
So
yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Because yes, what the scene Lex has just told us, we jump cut to 2 years later. So maybe now they're in their like mid 20s. Maybe, yeah. The long
Yeah.
shaggy wig was 18. Now they're like in their early 20s. Yes, we jump cut to 2 years later. The gang is still split up. That breakup was, yes, heartbreaking and permanent. And we start off catching up with the gang, seeing what Shaggy and Scooby are up to. They are
Hmm.
doing hashtag van life before van life was a thing. They're living out of the mystery machine somewhere, probably in California on the coast. We see them making some food inside of it, but also we see a lot of smoke coming out, so it's very clear to the adult viewers that they're hotboxing this van.
Yes. They were just grilling stuff to cover the smell.
Uh-huh, yeah. The movie does a
Yeah.
good job of like little nods towards like
Yes.
what's actually going on with these characters.
Yeah.
So they're hanging out in there. They're, not over the breakup, but they're having an okay time still when a knock comes at one of the doors of the mystery machine. And it ends up being this man dressed in all white, saying that he is an employee and was sent by his boss, one recluse millionaire, Mr. Emil Mondavarius. I'm just going to call him Emil from here on out,
Mhm.
personally. And Emil has tried to get Shaggy and Scooby, or is inviting them directly to come solve a mystery at his amusement park that he's had open for a couple years now, one Spooky Island. And of course, the name Spooky Island, Shaggy and Scooby are like, yeah, fuck no. And like, we're out of the mystery solving gang or business rather. But after some convincing, they agree to come and help. We jump cut as well to the airport. Obviously, this is an island. They got to take a plane to get there.
Mhm.
But at the airport, we also see Fred with a ticket to Spooky Island
And shorter hair,
and shorter
aka not
normal
a
hair.
wig.
Okay, not a
No.
shaggy, horrible wig. It's
Yeah.
just Freddie Prince Jr. bleaching his hair, it looks like,
Yeah.
or just a better wig.
Yeah.
But like same outfit though. His
Yes.
style hairstyle changed. It basically did not
Color
change.
color scheme definitely did not fit. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's got white, blue, orange color scheme. Know it works for him. Call it a day.
Exactly.
And he runs directly into Velma, who also has a Spooky Island ticket, which, they'll run in pretty horribly awkward. It's, like seeing an old boss or an ex or something like that unexpectedly. So
Yeah.
they make some small talk and we hear what they've been doing the last 2 years. Fred has written an autobiography about himself, and the cover of it is just like frames of his head.
Yeah.
basically, in
Is
his
it like the
face.
many faces of
Many
Fred or
Faces of
something
Fred.
like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he has a memoir out and he has been touring the world with this memoir. As we hinted, he is the face of this, what was the crime solving team, Mystery Inc. And Velma, the last 2 years, has casually been working at NASA, hilariously making high powered missile defense systems,
Yeah.
which I was like,
No big
damn,
deal.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
no
says it so
NBD.
casually too. Yeah.
Yeah. And just kind of like looks at Fred like, hmm. And Fred clearly doesn't really know what that means. So he's like
Yeah.
impressed by the
I
fancy words.
I was gonna say he doesn't know what it means, but he knows that he's intimidated by it.
Yes,
Probably
exactly.
because he doesn't know what it means. He's like, whoa,
Yeah. It's like,
what?
oh, damn, well, look at my book. But as they
Yeah. Look at my
approach,
many faces.
she's like, I've seen them all.
Yes.
So they approach the ticket counter, like the gate rather, where their plane, their to Spooky Island will be taking off. And they hear an argument happening at the front gate with the ticket like officer, at an airport gate. And of
Mhm.
course, they look through the crowd, only to see the one and only Daphne fighting with the poor innocent airport staff about the fact that she needs to bring about 18 suitcases with her and is outraged that they won't
Mhm.
just let her bring all these suitcases on.
Yeah. They're
Remember, this
definitely
is
carry-on size.
exactly. Remember, this is 2002. The whole carry on, they have the TSA was still fresh off of 9/11. It
Mm-hmm.
hadn't gotten as strict as
Mm-hmm.
we are now. So she
Yeah,
carted
and
all those
Daphne
with her
looks
to the gate.
sus.
Yeah, exactly. They should check all those fucking bags.
Yes.
Um, so Fred and Velma surprising or very surprised and say, Daphne, and she turns around and whips her sunglasses off and is pissed to see all of them. Immediately they all put together like, oh fuck, were we all invited by this mysterious Emil to come solve whatever mystery is happening on Spooky Island? They
Mhm.
all immediately start fighting. We learned that in the last 2 years, Daphne, besides, I guess, just like gallivanting and being rich, which was mainly what she did the last 2 years.
Mhm.
She also did some self-improvement and went and got her black belt, so she is no longer a damsel in distress.
Mhm. A human
And
weapon.
yeah, and she like does a little pose probably about it. They don't
Yeah.
really believe her. They kind of laugh at her about this.
Yes.
And while they're all fighting, again, pissed that they all are being invited for the same purpose, they all wanted to come and solve this mystery as a solo act now. But as they're fighting, Shaggy shows up, and as does Scooby, obviously with
Mhm.
Shaggy, but he's a fucking Great Dane. So, in classic Scooby-Doo fashion, they've dressed him up as a grandma. It's fine. It's very clearly a dog
Yeah.
in clothes, more or
Everyone knows it,
less.
but no one stops it from
No one
happening.
stops it. But Shaggy and Scooby are stoked about reuniting with everyone, thinking that they can solve this mystery together. But no, everyone else wants to be a solo act, so they all kind of turn away from Shaggy and Scooby. And again, heartbreak happens.
Mhm.
So they all get on this plane to Spooky Island, which is filled with party goers. It's clear that Spooky Island, which is like this amusement park on a private island, is really just like a spring break destination
Yeah.
for frat bros, people looking to party, et cetera, et cetera.
Punk rockers. Everyone looks like they should be in Smash Mouth or something.
Everyone is in like the gelled spiked hair for the
Yeah.
dudes and
Lots of bleached
like
tips.
lots of bleached tips, lots of sideways turned upside down visors,
Yeah.
lots
Like the very
of,
reflective sunglasses.
yes,
The
the
like
mesh tank top situation
yeah.
for the guys. Girls, the women are all low rise cut jeans and like belly belly
It looks
shirts.
like an MTV music video from the year like 1999.
Yes, that is the perfect description of
Yeah.
it.
Like
Yes,
yeah.
that is who is attending this amusement park slash party island, basically. And while
Mhm.
on this plane, again, none of Mystery Inc. is talking to each other. They're all still pissed. But Shaggy does start talking with another passenger heading out to this spooky island. It is, yes, another woman in low-rise jeans and like a little mesh tank top action. She's got long blonde hair. It is a woman played by, is it Isla Fisher? Isla Fisher?
Isla, something like that,
You
yeah.
all know who she is. This is
Yeah.
like probably this is early stages of her career, which I love.
Yeah.
Love her.
She's
But
very funny.
hilariously, again, in another writer's nod to the adults watching, Shaggy is
Hmm.
immediately enamored with this woman who is named Mary Jane. So, of course, a nickname for marijuana, aka another nod
Yes.
to Shaggy being a stoner. Um,
Yes.
and very quickly, we also see that Mary Jane is somewhat enamored with Shaggy, but she simply cannot stop sneezing and mentions that she's allergic to dogs and is sitting next to a grandmother, aka Scooby,
A dog dressed like a
dressed as a
grandmother.
grandmother. And then
Again,
they
like I
land
said,
in
I'm
Spooky Island.
I'm pretty sure that everyone knows Scooby is a dog. I'm pretty sure, like, because everyone
Yeah,
is looking at him like, what is happening? Everyone except for Fred, that is, because he has that
yeah,
one
yeah.
line where he
Fred's
looks
like,
at Shaggy like, "Who's that old broad?"
yeah, he's like, who's that
Idiot.
old nasty lady coming to come party with us young folk?
Yeah, what's going
Is the vibe.
on?
Yeah,
It's like
he's
the Steve Buscemi. Hello, fellow youth.
hello, fellow youths. Yeah, and
Hello,
like I
fellow
will say,
humans.
right when Fred, like 2 seconds before Fred was like, "Who's that old broad?" Velma was like, "Are you fucking kidding me, Shaggy? No one's gonna
Yeah, no
believe
one's
that
gonna
that's
fall
an
for
old
this.
lady." And then yes,
Yeah,
Fred's
and
like,
then Fred
"Who's
exposes
that?"
himself as a dumbass. Yeah.
Yeah, which is genius writing
Classic.
by James Gunn.
Indeed, as per usual.
Yeah.
And yes, as you said, shortly after being introduced to Mary Jane, the crew, they land at Spooky Island. And this place is pretty freaking wild, let me tell you. Like it is, so it's also kind of confusing because they're on a plane, but then they also take a ship to Spooky Island. So I guess the
Mhm.
airport or the landing strip is on another island, and then they have to take a boat
Wow, I didn't
to
even clock
the
that
main. Yeah, I was
discrepancy in
confused. Well,
fact.
because yeah, I was like, wait a minute, they're not getting off of a plane. That's a dock. I was confused.
Wow,
Anyways,
great.
but this
Great work.
nonetheless, this island, it is super themed. Like it is just there's skulls everywhere. It's very spooky, I guess. The
Spooky.
owner,
And it's an island.
Emil Mondavarius, exactly. He is really leaning into this thing. So we've got skulls everywhere, all of the helpers, I don't know what to call them, workers, the like resort
Uh-huh.
staff, perhaps, or like wearing like these crazy masks and skirts, like grass skirt. It's a whole vibe, all right. And there's lines of these young adults getting off of the ship, unloading their luggage and everything, and excitedly running into the island, being like the rambunctious, boisterous young adults
Mm,
that they are who are getting ready to enjoy spring break on an amusement park island.
mhm,
And so once the Mystery Inc. gang, or I guess not Mystery Inc. now, but the
mm.
crew all gets off of the boat, they are then greeted immediately by none other than the owner himself, Mr. Emil Mondavarius.
Uh-huh.
He meets them and introduces
Which
himself.
is cast perfectly, by the way.
Absolutely cast perfection because he is
Rowan
played.
Atkinson.
Who exactly? You cannot have such an eccentric billionaire, perhaps
Yep.
even owner of an amusement park who believes in some monster mystery, etc., and hires a group of young adults to solve that mystery, played by someone who is not as equally eccentric in every other role that he plays. As Grace said, yes, Rowan Atkinson is Emil Mondavarius, so he is another star of this amazing
Yep.
movie, perfectly cast. And so, look, at this point, Emil, he doesn't really care that Mystery Inc. is broken up, because they get off the plane and they tell him, like, look, no, like, we're not a gang anymore. Like, we're not Mystery Inc. Don't call us that. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. All I know, though, is whether you're a gang or not, each one of you loves solving a good mystery. So let me tell you what I got for you. And he explains when people arrive onto Spooky Island, all of these other, young adults, young 20 somethings, as I said before, they're hyped, they're partying, they're wild, they're full of life and energy, they're excited to be on spring break or whatever. But when they leave, we see them all very zombie like, silent, staying in line, and also randomly having superhuman strength.
It's a little
So
sprinkle in there.
no, just yeah, add that. It's a chemical X, if you will.
Exactly.
And so we see like a live demonstration of this, right? Because a lot of people are getting off of the ship and entering Spooky Island at this point, and a lot of people are also standing in line not far away from them. And you can just see kind of like the polar opposites of them all. And one guy who's getting off of the ship and coming onto the island, he sees someone that he knows who's leaving, standing in line to leave. So he runs up to leave. And so he runs up to her, says hello, like, hey, checking in. Do you have fun? This
This
bitch
bitch should
apparently did
not
not
have
have fun
fun.
because she picks up this dude and yeets him, throws him over right in front of Mystery Inc. and in front of Emil Mondavarius. And Emil looks at that like, see, how did she get that superhuman strength? What is happening? And so the kids are like, okay, wow, yeah, you're right. We do have a mystery on our hands.
Mhm.
And Emil further explains that he thinks it's some type of spell that's being cast upon his customers or these young adults while they're on the island. And he thinks that everyone has to be in danger because he can't tell, like, who are they targeting? Are they going after everybody? This is bad. And also, I'm trying to cover my ass in the event of liability because this is definitely going to be a massive insurance claim coming down the road. That
He's like,
dude
I have
just
a
got
lot of
thrown 20
lawyers,
feet.
but none of them have written the like clause about spells.
Yeah, exactly. Is that an act of God? Maybe. I don't know. We're
Depends
gonna
who's casting
argue
the
it.
spell.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see. So at this point, seeing that Emil does have a pretty solid mystery on his hands, that each member of the gang, each member of the former Mystery Inc., separately vows to solve the mystery first, and they all part ways to make their way on the island to then find their first clues.
Mm-hmm. And so, yes, everyone, because they're all fighting, they all split up. They're refusing to work together. All these things kind of happen in tandem, but we're just going to go one by one to keep it a little more clear. So, we're going to start with Velma, who had heard that there's some type of like ritual performance happening in kind of like, so like in this park, there's like one main hotel where everyone stays at. There's like a couple bars and like pools around this hotel, and the rest of the island is like the amusement park. But within like this hotel, there's one main bar. And like right off of it, there's like this, stone almost like amphitheater happening. There's like a giant dais in the center of it. Behind it, there's like a stone, almost like skull cave that has like its mouth is the opening to this cave. And she attends this ritual thing, and it starts off with, yes, some of like the employees in like the grass skirts doing all of this drumming. And here, well, not here, when they got off the docks and we saw the employees also in like grass skirts and masks, but even doubled more here, I start to ask the question, which cultures are we appropriating?
Yeah,
Because it's
there are
many
quite a
of them.
few.
We've got like some Pacific Islander with kind of like
Yes.
the skirts. We've got in another scene coming up here, maybe like some Afro-Caribbean
Voodoo.
appropriation. Yeah, voodoo.
Yeah.
We've got perhaps, and this is my own ignorance, some like Aztec-y, Mayan, like South American, indigenous peoples appropriation, which we see kind of immediately again as these drums are happening. This leader come out named Nagu. He is a bald man just wearing like a leather vest, fully tatted up, super ripped. He's got like tattoos, kind of like Aztec looking script and symbols on his head and across his body. And then his number two, who's like, again, what cultures are we appropriating? Clearly just Mexico here, because it's a luchador who comes out randomly. This like huge man with the luchador's mask on named Zarkos. So yes.
The whole luchador suit. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so weird. It's like, where did they find this guy? They found him and he was like, look, I have to wear this. That's my only
My only persona is my luchador. And as a
That's
luchador,
my
I
only
cannot take off my
request.
mask. It's like the only rule here. So
I
yeah,
think
this is
this is just another credit to James Gunn's genius writing. He's like, you know what? I don't want any one culture to come after me for appropriating. So I'm just gonna throw everything in and then no one will think that I'm actually appropriating anything. Because
he's like, a negative and a negative makes a positive, right? Great. Let's
great.
do it.
Cool. We've got five negatives.
I'm in the clear.
Yeah.
So yes, Nagu is kind of the leader of this ritual, and the luchador is his number two. And as all the drumming's happening in like that center dais, there's like green flames exploding from it. And Nagu is explaining to the crowd that this island has a connection with the other worlds. It used to be inhabited by many creatures, but the Spooky Island amusement park came and disturbed the peace. It's the classic tale. Development
Mhm.
happened on ancient grounds, sacred grounds, making the ancient and otherworldly creatures of this world furious with Spooky Island and everything it stands for. And as he's speaking, Velma is watching the crowd and notices that while some of the crowd is the rowdy party goers, other kind of blips and groups of people within the crowd are these like deadpan, dead eye, still like college age folks, but they are
Mhm.
chanting very like deep chants to the tune of and like the beat of the drums in
Yeah.
a very trance-like state. So Velma's obviously like, all right, something's happened to these kids.
Yeah.
Um, and she kind of befriends this guy in the crowd who is clearly fresh. The credits literally just like name him like rocker guy because he has a Led Zeppelin shirt on.
Yeah.
And I think that's clear to be like,
That's
see,
his
he's
whole
not,
personality.
yeah, they're like, see, he's not like the new age, new way, or what is it, like new metal vibe of
Yeah,
all
new
these other
metal.
party goers. He
Yeah,
understands real music, so he's cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, but they're kind of chit-chatting a little bit, so we're just gonna refer to him as like Led Zeppelin shirt guy.
Mhm.
But Velma's very clearly skeptical of what's going on, and Nagu and the luchador Zarkos clock this, and they, along with some of their like ritual, I don't know, participants who have these like neon green skull masks on,
Mhm.
surround Velma, clearly trying to intimidate her as the green flames explode with like jaguars. She doesn't fall for it. She starts pointing out all of the projectors that are like in this amphitheater, giving this cool effect, being like, been there, done that, next.
Nice
And
try,
next,
but
yeah,
do better next
I
time.
don't think so. Yeah, exactly. Do better is her whole vibe right now. And so then we have Daphne, who is out wandering the beach, kind of at the edge of this amusement park. And she finds like this shack right on the beach, sitting at the edge of the jungle. And inside of it, we have our next cultural depiction choices that are made. Inside is a man performing what we, well, I guess not just assume, he tells us is a
Yeah,
voodoo ritual. And Daphne just fucking walks on in and is like, hey,
classic B&E.
yeah, yeah, full on B&E, no holds barred, and is like,
Yeah.
hey, you live here. What the fuck up is with this island and all the spooky stuff happening? You seem spooky. You must know something.
Yeah.
Um, he, I will say, is very funny. He is immediately mad at Daphne because he's like, now I have to fucking start this voodoo ritual all over again.
Right.
Like, girl, what are you doing here? And he was
Who
like,
is this little redhead coming in my
yeah,
shack?
exactly.
Yeah.
There's this white girl coming in all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like she owns the place, which is, classic Daphne, I would say, rich white
Yes.
lady. So, yes, she starts questioning him. And, I will say he does know a lot about the spooky stuff happening. Because, yes, he clearly lives here, is clearly not a fan of the amusement park. And
Which
she's
also, why
basically,
does he live there? Sorry.
I think he
It
like
is like a
originally,
private island.
I think he like must have
He's a
actually lived
squatter,
there and Emil just paid off everyone else.
I
Like,
guess.
to leave the island,
He
or
didn't take the money. It's like the
yeah,
one area Emil can't develop on.
yes,
He's like
exactly.
itching for it, like a
I know he's
hawk.
like
Like,
beachfront property.
yeah.
And this man is like, no, 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 no. You could have bought everyone else off, but not me, sir. So,
Not me.
he's standing his ground.
Yeah, good for
And
him.
yes, I will say she's like, I'm here. Daphne is like, I'm here
Hmm.
to investigate the spooky shit that's happening. You're clearly up to spooky shit, which like rude. This is
Yeah.
like someone performing like a spiritual ritual.
Yeah,
Daphne,
in his own
don't be rude.
shack. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, in his private residence that you entered.
Yeah.
And so she demands to know what is going on and for him to tell her everything. And hilariously, one of my favorite lines in the entire film, the first thing he tells her is, "What I do know is that that purple is a fall color, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
May." So first he starts off by insulting her in her outfit.
Yeah. Fucking boom, roasted.
Yes, it's just
Solid. Yeah.
incredible.
This guy's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And then he says, and also, I know that you should leave as soon as possible. This place is creepy, has bad vibes, and also do not go to the castle at the top of the island, which we
Mhm.
see through his window is, yes, a very spooky medieval looking castle for some reason. So I guess we're also appropriating European culture. So, like,
Romanian
you're right.
culture. I don't know.
James
Yeah.
Gunn was like, throw them all in.
He's like, do it all. I can offend everybody, and then no one will be offended. It's
Exactly.
equal opportunity appropriation. He's gonna take a little bit from
Exactly. Just
everybody.
toss it on in.
And I'm here for
Um,
it. I'm still a fan, James Gunn. If you're listening, if we can get you to listen,
which
you're
you
probably
are.
busy now, but yes, of course you are listening. You're not busy
Yes.
making Superman, anyways.
Nope, 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 nope. So yes, so after some back and forth, Daphne is like, well, obviously I'm gonna go to that castle. Clearly, you're telling me not to go. I should go. So while she decides that, Shaggy and Scooby are hanging out with Mary Jane at the bar, and at the bar there's this giant like disco ball skull in the middle of it. And Shaggy soon loses Scooby because he wants to hang out with Mary Jane and flirt with her, so they go off to do that. But Scooby gets a phone call from the bar, and on the phone is a very creepy voice telling Scooby that if he goes to the woods, there's hamburgers for him. So, of course, Scooby immediately goes off to the woods
Mhm.
like a dum dum. And in the woods, Scooby gets stalked and eventually chased by what we see as our first glance at some of the monsters on this island. We only very briefly see them, but what we do see of them is that they are like these very, very tall, I would say like, 8 to 9 foot tall, like
Yeah.
what I can only describe is if you took one of those like Sphinx cats, so like those naked cats,
Yeah.
but gave them like Donnie Darko ears, so like super long and like made them into like a humanoid, so they're like on their 2 feet and like have arms, but they just like they're just skin, basically, like terrifying skin and just like bone, like you see all of like their spine and like the bones protruding from them, and I don't
This
know how
is
else
the
to
most
describe them. Please help.
so and that's I like yours better. It's a lot more it's a lot more creative. Literally, I was just thinking they're like gargoyles without wings.
Oh yeah, they're just like
Yeah,
skin
they're
gargoyles.
just like that are just also like 8 or 9 feet tall, I
Yeah,
guess, but like a
they're
sphinx with like bony face or sphinx cat on. I don't even remember now. I used they're so funny. A
like I
sphinx
think
cat on 2 legs with 8 or 9 feet tall with a very bony face and bones. What
yeah,
else did you say? That
I
works
don't I don't
too.
remember, but basically yeah, they're like
And or a
skin,
gargoyle without wings.
yeah, they're like bony skin gargoyle cats,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
But Scooby is able to shake them from his tail and get away safely.
Yes. And so he runs away. Sorry, I'm still getting over your description of them.
I don't even know if they're called Sphinx cats. That's probably not correct, but you know what I'm talking about. The naked cats.
I don't know that I do. Oh, you're talking about Siamese cats.
No, those
The
have
naked
fur.
oh. Oh,
There's
you're
a
right.
type of cat that like has no
Yeah,
fur. They're
the
just
furless cat.
skin.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. Now I see what you're talking about though. I was thinking about a literal sphinx, Like the actual.
Oh, no,
So
I'm
I'm
talking about
so
a literal
confused.
breed of a cat that I
Okay.
didn't look up for accuracy.
All right. So we were in two totally different time zones. Totally different world.
Just like the makers
Anyway,
of this movie were.
yes, exactly. Fair enough. So yes, Scooby runs away, and we then cut to the castle, the very castle that the voodoo guy, I don't remember his name, but
I
that
think
he
he's just called
told,
Voodoo Guy.
okay, that's what we're calling him,
Yeah.
that the voodoo guy told Daphne not to go to. And of course, who do we see going to the castle? Daphne.
Yeah.
But she has, of course, she's run back to the hotel first, or to the resort, the amusement park. She's convinced Shaggy and Scooby, through Scooby Snacks, of course, to come with her so that she kind of has some backup in the castle. I guess she kind of takes the voodoo guys' warning a little bit, like, okay, it must be dangerous. Let me get Shaggy and Scooby. I can outrun them, maybe, if a monster is chasing us. So they enter, aka break into this closed down castle. It's totally boarded up. It looks like it's been condemned. And when they get in there, they see that it's filled with all of this medieval, like, not memorabilia, like medieval statues and like clown like structures and stuff, and all of this stuff. And it's
Which again,
also,
time zones are crossed. Is this a medieval castle? Is this a horror house?
it's both, it's everything. Throw every genre, every theme you can. This is why it's closed down. No one could really get into it.
Yeah, they're
There's
too
too
confused to
much.
get the vibe.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not scared, I'm just too busy trying to figure out what's going
What I
on.
should be scared of.
Yes, exactly. And then they also see that, yes, this castle is not just a castle, but also a ride. They see tracks going along through it.
Mhm.
So, much to their shock and surprise, shortly after getting in this castle and nosing around a little bit, they run into, of course, Fred and Velma, who have followed their own clues to the castle, as Grace described in the last portion. Although I guess we don't know what Fred really was doing.
No.
We don't see how he gets there. He just winds up there. He's Fred. He probably just followed Velma from a few
Yeah,
steps behind or
exactly.
something. He's like, yeah, I'll just ride her coattails. So seeing that they're all in the castle and knowing that they don't want to work together, they're still like, okay, fuck it, we're here. Let's all just split up and find clues. So Fred and Velma, they go together. Scooby and Shaggy go together. And then Daphne goes off on her own because she's still like trying to prove that she is a human weapon, that she doesn't
Mhm.
need someone else's protection.
Strong,
And that she
independent
just,
woman.
exactly, you know what? We love it. We love it. She's like, I'm not even going to get kidnapped this time, guys. Look, like I've matured. I've grown. I'm no longer danger prone
Mhm.
entirely. So Shaggy and Scooby, they start walking around and they quickly run into this like medieval style dining hall. It's got this long dining table at it, and the table is just overflowing with food. Fake food, at least. We'll just go ahead and say it now.
Yep.
But nonetheless, they see this and they're like, whoa, this could be interesting. And yeah, it is fake food though. Daphne, meanwhile, she finds a room where the roller coaster starts, the ride that is actually going through this castle, but the door to get into this room where the ride starts is blocked off. So she's like trying to figure a way to like move stuff out of the way and get in there. And meanwhile, Fred and Velma are walking through another part of the ride, and in classic Scooby-Doo fashion, I will say, as they're
Yes.
walking and talking through this hallway and through this part of the ride, we see someone watching them through holes that are cut in the eyes of this like painting or something on the wall nearby. And so then we go behind the wall and we see that the person who is watching them, he's like, oh shit, like he's keeping tabs on them. And he runs into the control room that controls this whole castle, this whole roller coaster ride. And he turns that puppy on. And then seemingly all at once, chaos ensues. Like everyone, like Shaggy and Scooby, they start getting attacked and captured by this fake food. It like
Dude.
comes to life and like strangles them and like
Honestly, the
hooks them onto the
scariest.
wall. That would be
It's like
terrifying.
nasty.
It is that too. It's like links of sausage like wrap
Yeah.
around their neck, which also like I guess it probably could choke you. I wouldn't want to find out. That would be a
No.
horrible way to go,
Yeah.
whether it's fake or real food. Could you
Especially because you'd
imagine?
like almost be able to eat your way out of it, but you
Yeah.
couldn't.
And then you're like, shoot, no, I'm gonna die because it's plastic. Shit.
Yep.
So meanwhile, that's happening and they are dying. Daphne Daphne gets hit by one of the roller coaster cars, the like train cars on the ride, and she like jump or she doesn't jump in. She's just kind of like holding onto the front of it as it's like weaving through this entire ride, going through hallways and sharp turns, and apparently approaching like a dead end wall that is just filled with swords pointing straight out at her. Now I really know why this ride got shut down.
Yeah. You just get
Like,
impaled at the end.
yeah, that's how it ends. It's like, okay, I hope you guys enjoy. Wasn't that spooky?
Just
Spooky.
stabbed.
Yeah.
Why is no one
Dead.
answering me?
Yeah, no one? Anyone? No? You never get the response of like, you remember at Kings Island riding some of the rides, you get back in the station and they're like, how'd you guys like that ride? And everyone applauses. It's always dead silent, literally dead silent.
Dead silent.
Dead. Everyone gets back.
Yeah, this is why they ran this ride once and they
Yeah.
were like, oh, we've made some grave mistakes.
This won't work. Emil is like, I just don't understand.
Why does
Why
everyone
don't
love
they
this?
like it? Anyways, so yes, that is what Daphne is doing, trying to not get stabbed by these swords that she's quickly approaching. Fred and Velma, they're still walking through this hallway. But when the ride turns on, these just massive, like sweeping axes just start swooping through the hallway, trying to trap them. And they're also like moving, the axes are moving closer to Fred and Velma as they're running towards the end of the hallway. So they're just like trying to like pull books off of a bookshelf, anything they can think to open a trap door somewhere to get out of this hallway before these axes take them out. But they don't find it quickly enough. And one of the axes, it's getting ready to hit Fred. Vilma, though, she swoops in, saves him, throws a book to him that he then uses to block the axe from stabbing him. Super
Knowledge is power.
No, go to your local library, kids, and make sure you return your books
On time.
on time.
Alexis.
I'm a changed woman. I've learned. But yeah, so this book, it protects Fred. The axe, it just hits him and then sends him shooting back through a like a mirror or a wall right behind him in this hallway that actually is almost like a double-sided mirror. It actually leads to the control room for this ride. And Fred is like, when he busts through the window, he knocks off or turns off the lever that started the ride, whatever. I guess he hits the emergency handle somehow, and it thankfully shuts everything off. So it stops Daphne by literally the skin of her teeth from getting impaled by all these swords on this ride. And it also stops the fake food from attacking Shaggy and Scooby. Yes. But as they are still pinned to this wall by the fake monstrous food, Shaggy and Scooby, they're like celebrating that they didn't die, and the whole wall falls down to reveal a backstage studio that is actually in this ride too, which doesn't seem like the best place to have any sort of studio with like a massive roller coaster, but okay, whatever.
But whatever.
And yeah, whatever. I'm here for it. We'll see. We'll see what this studio is for shortly. And so Daphne, since she didn't get impaled, I should say, she's able to find another door that kind of leads out of this ride and into a separate room. A very concerning room, I will
Also,
say.
why is this in the middle of a roller coaster building?
Yes. I mean,
it's because they
I
couldn't
guess no
develop
one
the
can
beach
typically
real
access
estate
it.
because of the voodoo man, so they had to shove all of their extra ideas in this castle.
Everything. Oh, hey, just if it can fit under this roof, stuff it in there.
Coming in until we get that prime real estate.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this must have been high up on the list of those rooms that they were like, man, if only we could find another building for this, but damn, this is just where it's gonna have to be. This is like a crazy Daphne stumbles into this crazy, enormous, like ritual, religious, cultish looking room with a dais in the middle. And on the dais is this like pyramid object that's covered in runes. And we see along the floor around this dais is also like these triangular little shapes. Those will be important in a second. And Daphne just walks up to this dais and she's like, oh, what is this thing that doesn't look at all dangerous or cursed or possessed, or
Or
like it could
extremely
unlock some.
important.
Exactly. And she starts looking at it and she almost seems like mesmerized by it a little bit. I guess she's trying
Hmm.
to, maybe, I don't think Daphne can read runes. Maybe, I don't know.
This
Maybe
bitch
she's a
can't.
witch. It's very possible. This Velma definitely can, but Daphne can't.
Yeah, no.
And so she's just like, what does this say? I don't know. And she's looking at it and she picks it up off of this dais, this pyramid thing. And those three triangular shapes on the bottom, on the ground, immediately start raising up and reveal themselves to be like a cage that surrounds this other pyramid structure, or this pyramid object that she's grabbed. And so she quickly has to like run out before this cage closes, in like a classic Indiana Jones type of move.
Yeah.
And she runs for safety, but is able to grab the pyramid object with the runes on it and steal it from this very, very concerning, again, and ritualistic looking room. So then, meanwhile, we see Fred and Vilma. They are still in the control room. And as they're kind of like looking around and trying to see what's going on with this whole ride, they find a training video that is equally as concerning as the pyramid room that
Yep.
Daphne was just in, but in a different way. So they hit play on this training video, and all that they see is this very like professional looking blonde with updo, middle-aged white woman just talking about how the youth today are rude and they need to be more polite, and saying like, hi, I'm speaking in like in the English language or something along those lines. And saying that in this video, she's going to teach them how to not be rude teenagers or rude youth, but how they can be polite and well-mannered youth. And Vilma is like, okay, this is a Hundy Pia brainwashing facility. Like, this is very cultish. So I'm like, you don't see this at your average amusement park. Something is
Nah.
very wrong here. But if that's the case, then how could this be happening without Emil being behind it? Because he is the owner and operator of the island. So she then is wondering, like, well, why would he invite us here if this is his whole underground operation that he wants us to discover or to, foil? So we then see Shaggy and Scooby. And they've fallen through that wall that revealed a backstage sort of like sound studio or like filming studio stage. And they then stumble upon the exact stage that is in the training video that we just saw Freddie and Vilma watching, which again, I say that is a very, very weird place to record these videos. Like, you hear the noises of screams from
Small
the people
island.
on the roller coaster being stabbed by the swords in the background. Like, we can't edit it out. There's only so much we can do.
Chanting from the ritual room.
Yes. No big deal. No big deal. The crazy voodoo man yelling at them outside, like, get off my lawn.
Yeah, you'll never take my property over my dead body.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, they find this stage from the training video. Of course, they haven't seen the training video, so they don't know what it's from. But for whatever reason, like, yeah, they're in here. They're not doing anything useful. These two are just goofing around. But I will say they are having
Yes. What are they up to?
an award-winning, might I add, fart off. Because
Award winning.
that's right. I think this movie won 2 awards. I think one of them was Best Supporting Actress or Best Actress for Sarah Michelle Gellar for I think
Who
the
gave these awards?
MTV Movie Awards. And the second award was Best Fart at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards.
I was like, whomst made this an award-winning scene? But okay. That makes sense.
The real critics, the ones who truly understand
I would
art.
like to find the clip from that award ceremony and who gave that award out that year.
Accepted it. Who gave it out and who accepted it. I feel like it had to be like either Robin Williams or like Mike Myers or something that gave the award.
Knows?
Someone who could do like a fart joke on stage.
Oh,
It's crazy too. I used to always watch the Kids' Choice Awards. I was a big Nickelodeon kid growing up. I almost guarantee you I probably voted in that. Like, I probably ran to my computer. Got online. Honestly, like, yes, same. Shaggy had my favorite part in a movie.
Honestly, I won't even pretend like I also probably didn't do that. I absolutely was like, get Scooby in there.
And now I need to know who the other competitors won. Like the fact that it's a whole category, 2003 was crazy. There had to be at least four movies with parts that rivaled the ones that Shaggy and
But
Scooby have here,
how
which is
could you
insane.
rival this scene? It's like 3 minutes.
It goes on way too long. Again, James Gunn, I love you, but what the hell, dude? What was this scene?
He wanted that award under
I
his
hope he
belt
accepted. I hope
at
he's the
any
one who accepted
cost.
it. Yeah, I
It
truly
sits
hope
on
he's the
like a
one who
shelf
accepted that award.
among all his other awards. This one is like in a glass case. It's like the little balloon that they would give out,
It's
the
like elevated.
orange blimp.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
exactly.
that was the
It's on
award.
like a red velvet pillow.
Has a little bit of the slime on it that they would always do at the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yes. So,
Amazing.
anyways, so, people may criticize
Happens.
this scene, but I will say it gave the movie about 50% of its overall award.
And it got critical acclaim by at least one critic, us, when we were 10,
Yes. Yes.
voting online.
So, too. There were no one else voted for it. There were only two votes, and they were both for that movie.
You're
And it
looking
was
at
us.
us.
We were the two votes. You're welcome.
We're the
No, I bet
critics.
that was a wild. I bet that was like the most popular category, honestly. That is the
Oh,
most important
absolutely.
category at the Kids' Choice Awards, in my opinion.
Duh. Our
I
critical
bet
opinion.
they should consider doing that at the People's Choice Awards too, but whatever.
Academy Awards, frankly.
Perhaps, yes. Anyway, so after Scooby and Shaggy have this fart off, Daphne interrupts and kind of stops it. And she tells them that they need to like get moving and like find more clues while also, I think, showing them this pyramid object that she's found in that concerning ritual room. And just as she's saying this, an alarm goes off in the castle and they all start to book it. And we also see Freddie and Vilma run out of the control room once they hear the alarm going off. And they all meet up in like this other hallway. They run into each other and they hear Nagu and the luchador, Zarkos or whatever. I just can't take him seriously.
Oh.
They hear them talking and coming down the hallway in the castle, so they have to hide. And they overhear this group saying that Mystery Inc. has stolen what is called the Damon Ritus, which we now assume is the thing that Daphne took, that pyramid object. And while they're hiding, they also overhear this cult that I think it's safe to call them now, summoning the ritual, saying that it's getting ready to happen, the ritual that they're having this evening, and that Mystery Inc., this group of this group of kids, better not mess up their plans. And so once the coast is clear and all of the baddies have left the room, the gang, they book it out of the castle and they reunite outside, super excited, seeing that like they've worked together again and at work they were able to steal this mystery object and that, hey, maybe they just can be a team once again.
Aww.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so they run back to the Spooky Island hotel resort thing to kind of gather their thoughts and start, following these different leads that they got. And they run into Emil, who obviously has known that they've been running about, and asks for an update. And they do give him a very quick update. They say that thus far they have 3 suspects about, what the fuck this spell situation is, what's happening to everyone, all these kids, again, becoming perhaps very polite and quiet, teens or college students. So first they say Nagu. So again, this ritual leader, they literally just saw him talking about a summoning ritual. And so I would say it's a pretty strong lead. The voodoo man, I don't exactly know why he's a suspect. He helped Daphne. Maybe it's because he insulted her fashion that she's
exactly.
like,
and him, he's evil. I can feel it.
Yeah, he's rude. I mean, evil.
Yeah.
And then they say to his face, Emil, you're also a suspect. And of course, Emil is like, and like Rowan Atkinson does this so well. He's like, me? And like, you feel so bad for him. And Fred is like, man, don't feel bad about it. You're just kind of creepy. So you're a suspect, which I lulzed at pretty hard, which is true. He is kind of creepy and weird. So and a billionaire. So
Yeah,
like make him the
fair.
suspect for sure.
Yeah,
Very
exactly. He's
fair.
definitely guilty of something.
Right, exactly. This is at least happening on his property somehow. Although
Yeah.
I will say, like, them being like Velma and Fred in like the control room, brainwashing room, being like, well, he's got to be a part of it. I'm like, you are giving too much credit of how much a billionaire actually does with his companies, like with
Yeah,
their companies.
exactly. Yeah.
They have teams running things for them.
Right,
They are not making the
exactly.
day-to-day minutia decisions here,
They're
but
lucky to even show
whatever.
up to like a quarterly board meeting. It's like
Exactly.
that's their one job.
Yeah, at most. And yeah, that's probably why
Yeah.
Daphne wasn't considering Emil as the leader of this cult because she's like, oh, you guys don't know what it's like to be rich. I forgot.
Sorry, that's right. How cute. No.
How you think he cares about?
This man has no idea what's going on this island, I assure you.
Yeah,
That's how he shields
trust
himself from
me.
liability.
Yeah, by being rich, duh.
Yeah.
So yes, we see you kind of just said that the gang is working together again. It's very cute. They all are rapid firing, like, okay, you like Fred, like, go off and start investigating this. Shaggy and Scooby, just don't go fuck something up. Like
Yeah.
this, like following all these clues. Like
And
Daphne,
break.
you're gonna go
Yeah.
like start researching cults and like what possible cults could be here. And
Mhm.
it's very cute. They're like high-fiving each other. They're excited. They didn't even have to like declare that they're working together again. It just is
It just happened.
naturally coming
Exactly.
back. And it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And so Velma, what she decides to go off to do is she is taking this pyramid object off to go start reading the ruins. Like we said, yes, of course, Velma can read these like who knows
Of course
what
she
fucking
can.
language. It's in these ruins, or these runes on this device thing, this diamondritis. She just takes it to the hotel bar, which I'm like, girly pop, go to your hotel room. What are you doing at this fucking bar with this item, this ancient important cult item you just
She's
fucking
such a
stole?
show off. She has to let everybody know. Like, look at me translating runes on
She
this
literally gets out like
artifact.
a huge magnifying glass. So you're right. She's like, do y'all see? See?
See
Magnifying
this?
glass.
Look, I'm that cute girl who sits with a magnifying glass at the bar. And it's like you can't resist
Deciphers ancient
talking to.
ruins.
Yeah.
Aren't I
Aren't I so
mysterious?
endearing? Yeah, I'm so
Endearing.
mysterious. Yeah.
I bet if I took my glasses off, I'd be beautiful. Wouldn't you
Oh, but
like
I
to
can't
know?
see without my glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's exactly what she's doing. Just everyone's fucking partying around her. And even more so, like this bitch, because we see Nagu is in this hotel bar
Yeah.
watching her do this. And not only is she just like deciphering it, but she is figuring out how to open up this pyramid. And as she does this, so yeah, the pyramid, like all of the walls come down to reveal even
Hmm.
more runes of whatever ancient language this is, and various depictions and or I guess like drawings carved into it, into this
Hmm.
Damon Ritus. And she realizes that this artifact is describing this old otherworldly race of creatures and a secret ritual involved to perhaps awaken them. And Nagu, to like, I guess, subtly watch her, decides to start playing like the bar piano, I guess as an excuse to like why he's there, but also,
And he's
sir,
like really good.
yeah, he's really good. He's like, and now for another evening jazz piece.
Like beautiful or concert level pianist, jazz
Yes,
pianist.
which like
Like
is
he's a
not
jazz
make
man through and through.
yes. Don't let the head tattoos fool you.
No. Or like
I
the
have
leather
culture
cut
in
off.
class. Yeah.
Yeah.
I trained at Juilliard. What about it?
What about it? That's where I got these tattoos.
Exactly. This was the initiation of Juilliard.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is tickling those ivories, if you will.
Oh, man.
while keeping an eye on Velma as she deciphers this Damon-ritis. And rock t-shirt guy, Led Zeppelin friend, pulls up next to her because he sees his friend Velma at the bar.
He's like, whoa, who's that totally cute girl with the magnifying glass being all smart and lonely at the bar? I should go talk to her.
I can fix her.
I bet I can solve whatever mystery she's working on.
He like puts her hair behind her ear.
Can I help you read that maybe?
And in like wild fashion, Velma, endeared by this man who she's met once, just goes ahead and tells him everything she's deciphering in this moment. And yes, him being like, wow, she is so endearing. He asks her more and just says, as he, buys her a drink, or some drinks get bought for them, perhaps. And Velma, clearly the lightweight, starts chugging this like very fruity mixed drink. And the Led Zeppelin man says like, wow, you really light up when you're talking about solving mysteries. And this bitch, after she, first of all, again, tells him everything that they've learned thus far about the cult and the Damon-ritis, and that it's awakening ancient creatures and some secret ritual must be happening in the very near future. She also gives us a flashback of those old days solving mysteries.
The happier days, the good old days. In the flashback we go, and it is a cinematic flashback, let me tell you. Everyone's happy. Everyone's in the mystery machine. It's the good old days for Mystery Inc. They're all a gang. They're all a team. Life's never been better. But as a gang, as a team, as a family, there's always that one person or one being in the gang that everyone's just kind of like they're adopted or they're crazy. And in this case, Mystery Inc.'s nut job, he's no stranger to this podcast. We've classified him as such in the past.
Or our hearts.
Or our hearts. It's none other than Scrappy-Doo. And yeah, we see the annoying little puppy. He's running around the mystery machine, causing a ruckus, screaming puppy power, literally like peeing on Daphne in an act of like retaliation and rebellion.
I was like, honestly, when I was watching this, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, I will admit, James Gunn made him a little bit more annoying than he really was.
Yeah, really aggressive.
It was really aggressive, but fair. Like, we did all hate Scrappy. Yeah. He was annoying. He practically just, he peed all over the Scooby-Doo scripts, if you ask me. And yeah, so he pees on Daphne. Everyone's mad, like telling him that, he needs to cool it. He needs to calm down. He's been a little over energetic of late. And Scrappy is saying, like, get out of here. I should be in charge of the group. If I'm not in charge of it, I'm the best one. The people love me. And if I'm not in charge of it, then I don't want to be in this group at all. And so, like, honestly, in 2 seconds, everyone else in the gang, they just look at each other. Like, okay, fucking kick him out. And so they kick him out. He gets his wish. He's like, all right, you're not leading the group, so you're out of the group. They literally leave him on the side of the road because, yes, I should have also added that too. In this flashback, not only are they just driving the mystery machine, they're driving it through like the middle of the desert, like middle of nowhere. It's like probably, I don't know, Arizona, some prairie somewhere.
Can I actually make a genius, where they are?
Speculation.
James Gunn was so fucking clever, and I lost my shit when I watched this because where they kick him out, he's next to a sign that says like Yucca Flats, which I assume is referring to Yucca Mountain, which is where the US has been trying to make into a nuclear waste depository for decades. And I was like, James Gunn, you son of a bitch. You just dropped Scrappy off near nuclear waste.
That's amazing.
In the Nevada desert.
That's amazing.
It was
Nevada.
Genius.
There you go.
Yep.
That is amazing. That's great. Yep. And also hilarious that they would be driving through there. It implies like right after a mystery. Yeah. Like classic them being near potential nuclear waste or something like that. Or like traveling there to get to a mystery involving it. That's again, chef's kiss writing. Just saying.
Yep.
And so so they kick him out, kick Scrappy out, and yeah, including his own uncle Scooby-Doo is like, yeah, dude, get this little punk out of here. He's so annoying. And they
Yep.
leave him here apparently by the Yucca Mountains in the desert, all by himself, and that
Yep.
snaps Velma out of her flashback.
Yep. And so in the hotel, again, in a present moment, Scooby, who, even though the rest of the gang has gone off to follow clues, Scooby's just chilling. He's just vibing out, hanging out in the party hotel. And he's hanging out by one of the windows. And he looks out this window to see an old friend, a skin bag gargoyle, cat, demon, staring back at him.
Monster thing.
Monster thing staring right back at him. And so, of course, Scooby is like, ruh-roh, and runs away from the window, causing a ruckus as he runs through all these party goers and starts hiding. He's hiding right by Fred, and Fred is like, Scooby, how many times do we have to tell you? Monsters aren't real, demons aren't real. And Fred quite literally gets up on a soapbox about this. Because again, Scooby is screaming about monsters. The hotel has gone silent to be like, this Great Dane can talk. Also, monsters? What?
So much happening all at once.
Uh-huh. Everything everywhere all at once, this film. And so Fred, to like, smartly quell the crowd. He's doing some crowd work here as, his wont to do. He loves the fame. He loves the attention.
He loves
He
the
loves
audience.
the
Crazy
spotlight,
audience.
the audience. So he gets up on the table that Scooby is hiding underneath. Again, literally his soapbox to give this grand, comforting and invigorating and energizing speech to this crowd. Everyone's looking at him. Even Nagoo has stopped playing the piano, like, listen to this speech. He's captivated by Fred, swooping his blonde hair back as he says, there are no such things as monsters or demons. And right as he's getting out that last word, from every single window in this fucking hotel room, these monsters and demons crash into it and immediately
perfect timing
start attacking everyone, including Fred, who immediately gets snatched up by one of these giant skin bags. And we see Fred being held up, and the creature demon monster thing breathes this like green smoke onto him, making Fred pass out in its hands. And we see the creature leap out with Fred fully captured. The hotel is in full fucking chaos mode. And Velma, thinking it's also not real, and I think a little drunk also, like gets
still definitely
like gets snatched by one of these demons, and she's like, yet again, unimpressed, do better next time. And she's just like pulling on this thing's like nasty ass skin as if she's trying to like rip a mask off. And when it doesn't rip off and the demon just like brings her closer, we see the look of realization on Velma's face of like,
oh shit,
oh fuck, this might
I'm
be
sorry,
real this time. But there's no chance for her to fight back. This demon monster creature gargoyle thing also breathes this green smoke onto her, and she passes out immediately. And also we see it gets taken away. We see in this chaos, both Daphne and Nagoo realize that Velma has abandoned the Damon-ritis pyramid thing on the bar. And so Daphne and Nagoo both dash for it, fighting for a moment, but Daphne is able to swipe it and start to run, including trying to get Emil, who of course has emerged to be like, what's happening in my hotel? Oh God, this is chaos. Who's going to sue me? How many lawsuits? His lawyers are on the other line, ready to get all of it sorted out, ready to get a
They're already
hefty
drafting motions,
payoff
pleadings.
to get
Yeah.
ready out of court, essentially, for all of this damage being done. But right as Daphne is trying to save Emil from the chaos and basically run out with him, we see from the ground below one of these monsters erupt from the ground in like a burst of light, and one of them snatches Emil by the waist and just rips him down to the floor below, also capturing her. And so, knowing that basically there's no saving anyone, Daphne starts to book it from the hotel, followed by Shaggy, Scooby, and Mary Jane, who had been with Shaggy. And they all are able to run through this hotel, although the creatures are hot on their tail. So, yes, it's just the four of them who are left. And, Bird and I realized that we are pretty deep into this episode thus far, time-wise, and only about halfway through this film. We should have seen this coming. We did hint at the beginning that this might happen, and we should have talked about it.
I was ready for this to be a 3-hour-long episode.
Yes, and I just pointed out to Alexis, it's going that direction. So instead,
I'm glad it won't be.
We executively decided to make this a 2-parter. So yes, our 100th episode and our 101st episode will be
because
this film.
That's perfect because we also love 101 Dalmatians. So this is an ode.
Honestly, one of the greatest actual crime movies ever. Murdering dogs.
We'll come back to that for episode 200, actually.
Yes, we'll do it
200
then.
and 201, I suppose.
Truly, I could recite that entire movie by heart, so we don't need to rewatch it. I got you.
Perfect. Done.
But
done. All right.
Until then, we will leave you all here, I'm sure, on the edge of your seats, with really the leaders of Mystery Inc. taken, and just kind of, the B crew left to save everyone.
Literally. Danger Prone Daphne and the potheads.
Exactly.
All right. How are they gonna figure this one out?
How are they gonna save everyone's lives, and what the fuck is happening? You will have to wait until next week to find out. And between now and next week, Alexis, who should our lovely, beautiful, perfect listeners and viewers who have stuck with us for 100 episodes tell about the show?
Well, I think it's only appropriate that you tell James Gunn. You got to tell him. He's great, get on Instagram. He's always posting on there, so I know he's active. Oh, James Gunn, so that he can admire how much we admire him. Grace, who should they tell?
I think they should tell our other fave from this film, perhaps, Matthew Lillard.
Yes.
An icon in every single way. Also, pretty much the only cast member who will still talk about this movie, because all of the rest of them have refused and fucking hate that they were in this movie. But Matthew Lillard still does like Scooby-Doo cameos, is the voice of Shaggy, I'm pretty sure. So tell Matthew Lillard, he's leaned into this role rightfully.
Exactly.
And we also love him. So
taking the throne. Yeah.
Yes. So cool. We'll
be back for part 2 next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design, and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.